Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. F Scott Feil, and I have with us a returning guest, this time for a little bit different conversation. Last time we had Dr. Patrick Berner on. He was talking all about how he was able to combine his love for physical therapy and his love for all things nutrition, and he has become a registered dietitian now. And we are actually looking at the new initiative that he's working on, PT in the community. Patrick, tell us a little bit about your academic journey, how it led you to where you are today, and then we'll jump right into it.
Oh man, that's a good starting point. So, I guess my academic degree, and kind of my professional journey started with, the underlying passion of trying to reduce risk of chronic disease. That's kind of always been my end goal, right? And really combining movement and nutrition to accomplish that, right? So that's kind of what I do professionally, but then also what I've transitioned into academia to educate other students in how to do that professionally in the field. And a big part of influencing a person's overall health, right, is looking at their environment and really getting into their community, right, and bringing our skills and our expertise and our knowledge into the community to help influence the health of that community, right? So that's kind of where the professional hats have kind of lended into this initiative of really trying to encourage clinicians, students, educators, right, within the field of physical therapy to bring physical therapy into their community and then influence that community's health and its outcomes.
Yeah, it's interesting that we as physical therapists consider ourselves movement experts, and then we go to these conferences year over year, and we're sitting in a conference room all day, sitting there learning and taking it in passively, and it's funny to talk about it now, but I think let's talk a little bit about PT in the community and how that all started, because that really was an initiative to kind of try to change those methods and really involve ourselves in the community that we're at for that conference. So tell us a little bit about that origin story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it actually started with you, F. Scott, and it was you and Jerry Durham as well. And it was CSM in New Orleans, which was a few years ago. And it kind of just what came out of conversation between us and others of the built up frustration of the fact that, we get tens of thousands of therapists and students and that go into a city, right? And they descend on a conference center and they stay within those 2 to 3 blocks where their hotels are, et cetera. But they don't get into the community, right? They cause all this ruckus when you bring in, that many people into a city, but not really going into the communities that thrive within that city and that need help within that city. So that first year, it was like I said, you and I and Jerry had met up with another clinicians that was local to New Orleans, even though ironically that's where I'm originally from, and we went to a fundraiser. It was a chili cook-off that was raising funds for a local school, right? So we purchased tickets, we went in, we drank, we ate, right? We danced with the locals, and we had a good time, right? But in that instant, it just clicked that if there was a way that we could continue doing something like this every year, I think we could really make more of an impact. And it would be, physical therapists are coming to town for a conference, but they're coming to town that they're actually going to help us while they're here, and really try and also create something that's sustainable that sticks around after we leave.
Yeah, that first year was a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed that, and I'm glad that you've been able to take it and kind of bolster it and really grow it to what it is now and what it's becoming, especially given some of the obstacles that we've had over the last year or so, or even 2 years, right? So tell us a little bit about the overall outlook now of what PT in the community has kind of become, and really what the goal is, and how we're accomplishing that, how you've been able to set the boundary and the roadmap for what it's going to look like here moving forward.
Yeah. So before I get to that, just to give a little bit more of the history, right? After that, New Orleans coming into DC, no, yep, coming into DC was the next one, right? And we knew we wanted to do something very similar, get out into the community. And at that time, colleagues that we were talking about, we decided we wanted to, really help out the homeless population in DC, right? So it was just it's probably about 10 or 12 of us that pulled together some funds. I think it ended up being like, I don't know, $350. And we ordered some stuff on Amazon and we put together maybe like 35 care packages, and we walked DC, right, around the convention center, but really kind of more maybe a half a mile radius around, and handed out care packages to the homeless, right? Had conversations, ended up buying food, coffee, other things, and just kind of, hanging out because they're people just like us. So that was DC. And then when we trailed into Denver, right, that's when things kind of really started to take off. And it was having the conversations with the right people at the right time, I think, is what kind of helped propel that forward. But Denver ended up being, raising over $7,000. Funding went to local homeless shelters where we, again, put together care packages. I think we ended up putting together about 320 bags, right, with things like gloves, socks, toothpaste, toothbrush, combs, hand sanitizer, which right now is a hot commodity, first aid kits, all kinds of things we put in the bags and brought those to the homeless shelter. And then we had local Denver public schools, right, and targeting more so the schools that are underserved, that their funding is not very good, especially within their physical education departments, right, contacted those teachers. What do you need, right? We had some school, one teacher, I think it was a fifth grade class, he's like, I'd really love to have some type of heart rate monitor that I can teach my kids, what physical activity does to the heart. Well, that's cool. I had funding to get 25 heart rate monitors for that school. And then we bought equipment in school and supplies for, I think, about 5 or 6 other schools as well. But then during CSM, right, when we had boots on the ground, we had breakfast and lunch. We had volunteers that went out to the schools and put physical therapy. But it was also designed that, those fundings were created to where when we left, things could be supported and sustained, after we're gone. But then COVID hit, right?
Yeah, that really threw a wrench in things. So I'm curious now, which direction you're heading. Now going to a virtual CSM. What is it looking like now? What is PT in the community looking like now? How are we having to pivot and change things to still make an impact on the city that we would have had it in?
Yeah. So what we've kind of transitioned in is trying to find a way to bring PT into everyone's local community, right? So because of CSM being totally virtual, we're not descending upon one city, right? Clinicians are staying home, and it kind of gives an opportunity for those clinicians to reflect and see how they can help their own community. So what we've come up with is kind of the PT in the community challenge, right? Because physical therapists are competitive, right? We love a challenge, okay? And what it is the challenge is designed that teams of 5 are set up, okay? So you have a team of 5. It can be local clinicians or it can be clinicians from all over the country, right? Just 5 of them that come together, and that team plays for some sort of initiative, right? So one team that had signed up earlier today, I think they collectively decided they were going to play for Meals on Wheels, right? That's what they selected to play for. And they kind of outlined that the funds that they would win, they would support the Meals on Wheels in their community. But all 5 clinicians were from totally different states across the country, right? But what it is, the 4 weeks of February, each week has a different challenge, okay? And those challenges have themes. And the themes are kind of built to where it starts with a little self-reflection of the participant, and then it kind of grows out, right, into looking at the health of the community, looking at how to intervene within that community, and then at the end, trying to come together with some type of collective message, which is designed to coincide fairly well with APTA's physical activity campaign that launches at the beginning of February.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that incorporation of health, diet, wellness, and then even population health as we take a bigger picture,
Yeah. So that's what we're hoping happens, right? So it's designed that the top 3 winning teams, right, win funding. So for the teams sign up, it's 5 people on a team. Every participant donates $10 to the cause, right, and all that money just goes into a big pot. And then it's the top 3 teams at the end of the challenge, right, that basically get funding to support whatever initiative they initially signed up to support. So with funding that I'm at right now, I mean, even third place is teams that are going to walk away with $600-700 to do something with. Which, I mean, if I'm a community PT and somebody gives me $500-600 to do something, I mean, that's pretty significant.
Yeah, that's a great place to start a neat little program in your community, and then it also gets the awareness out of what physical therapists do and what physical therapists can, how they can change and affect the community, so I think that's really the important part of PT in the community is not only are we helping the community and trying to give back as much as we can, but we're also trying to raise awareness for physical therapy and what we can do and how we can help and be effective. Especially now, it seems like there's a little bit of an ever changing landscape for physical therapists and what we actually can do. I think we're looking at things like population health, right? We're looking at things like school involvement. We're looking at telehealth because of COVID and stuff. So, there's a lot of different ways that physical therapists can utilize their skills. And I think it's great to be able to show the community that.
Yeah, our role as a profession is drastically changing. And this is kind of one of the ways to help clinicians keep up with it and really test it out, see what your community needs, see how you can engage them so that, again, after this whole challenge ends, hopefully you're able to set up relationships and start your own initiatives that continue, beyond this.
Yeah, Patrick, I can't thank you enough for all the work you've done on this, from taking it, one weekend out, hanging out to now this initiative that you've really put a lot of work and time into, and it's grown over the last couple of years so much. I can't wait to see it continue to grow. How can people reach out to you or get in touch with you if they want to get involved or if they want to donate or, just learn more about it? Where can they reach you?
Yeah, so more information on the initiative, PT in the Community, ptinthecommunity.com is our website that has all the information as far as history, but then also, details on the challenge, a link to sign up a team, a link to donate. Me personally, you can find me on Twitter at the Fuel Physio, right? So you'll see me kind of retweeting out various things involved with this. But ptinthecommunity.com should give you all the information you need. If you have direct questions for the initiative, you can email us info@ptinthecommunity.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Patrick. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to talk to you, bud.
Awesome. Thanks, F Scott. Appreciate it.